Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Wrecking Ball by Jeff Kinney, pages 1 to 25. Sunday. I've read that in ancient times they used to bury kings and pharaohs with all their possessions. Back then, I guess, they thought you could take your things with you into the afterlife. Well, if I get buried with all my junk, I might really regret it later on. Mum's having me do some spring cleaning to get rid of the things I don't need. Well, that seemed like a good idea until I realised just how much stuff I've actually got. I spent the whole morning going through my closet, and it's crazy how much was packed in there, and it's not like it was organised or anything. I've basically been throwing things in my closet since we first moved in. Digging through my closet was like going through my childhood, and the further back I went, the further back in time it took me. The stuff near the front of the closet was like all junk I'd tossed in there from over the past few years, like homework and comic books. But after you got those things out of the way, I started finding stuff I'd forgotten about. I found a model rocket I got for my 10th birthday and a costume I wore for Halloween a few years ago. And there was a bunch of other things I didn't even know I had. When I dug deeper, I found something I thought I'd lost years ago. It was a binder full of stickers I'd collected during 3rd grade. I used to be obsessed with stickers, especially the scratch and sniff kind. I collected all the good smells like bubblegum and candy floss and all that sort of thing, but I had a really gross ones too. So when a kid on my street wanted to know what giraffe poop or rotten meatloaf smell like, they'd come for me. One of those days I'm going to write an autobiography, and it's going to include scratch and sniff stickers to mark all the different moments in my life. I kept digging through my closet and I found stuff from kindergarten, like a fish I'd made by tracing my hand onto a piece of card. I used to love doing arts and crafts back then, but if anyone tried to bully me about it, they'd get a face full of glitter. Another project I found in my closet was a gift I made for my mum in preschool, but never gave it to her. It was a paper flower with a picture of my face in the middle, glued to a popsicle stick. When I made the thing, I put it in a little plant pot filled with earth, but I tripped on the front step when I got home from school that day, and that's why I never gave it to her. I was glad when I finally reached the back of my closet, because to be honest, I was a little disappointed too. When I was younger, I read this book about these kids who could visit a whole different world by going through their wardrobe, and I always wondered if I might be able to do the same thing as mine. But I thought that whoever lived on the other side might not be too happy with me for tossing all my junk there over the years. When I told Mum I was going to empty my closet today, she said I needed to put everything into 3 piles. 1 to keep, 1 to donate, and 1 to throw away. But I figured if I had to let go of any of my junk, I might as well make some money from it. So I decided to have a yard sale. Mum thought this was a great idea, so she gave me a magazine that had all sorts of tips on how to do it right. All the ideas in the magazine were corny and old-fashioned though. There was one section of how to create a sign to get people to come to our yard sale, and all the examples they showed were really boring. I knew that if I wanted people to actually show up in my yard sale, I needed to do something a little more eye-catching. So I whipped up a sign I knew would do the trick. And that is the sign. $100 bill found on pavement. Please come to 12 Surrey Street to claim your property. I made a few copies of my sign and headed out to post them around the neighbourhood. But Mum stopped me before I got out of the front door. Mum made me make signs that were more like the ones in the magazine. And after all, I was finished. I stapled them together to some telephone poles on our street. Then I hauled everything down from my bedroom and started setting it out on some plastic tables. Each table had its own category, like clothes and books, and that kind of thing. But some stuff wasn't easy to categorise, so I had to get creative. I had a bunch of gifts from my grandparents and older relatives that I'd never touched. So I put those things together on the table that said, "Great gifts for your grandkids." I also had a bunch of birthday cards that were still in pretty good shape. So I used some Tipp-Ex to cover up my name and set them out on their own table. I put all my broken toys onto another table and hoped some little kids who couldn't read would come to the yard sale. I stuffed all my random items that looked like marbles and a few pencil stuff into some socks and pinned them to a table. Mystery socks, what's inside? I also created a table full of things for people who had money to burn. Rare items, serious buyers only. The things were vampire bat shield, invisibility lotion and freckle remover. I put all my old arts and crafts projects in their own table, just in case some kids needed a gift for their parents, but didn't want to put in the time. Quality arts and crafts. While I was finishing up, Mum came outside to check out my yard sale. She seemed pretty impressed, but she said I should hold on to some the things I'd made myself, since that stuff is really special. I told Mum that if she wanted something, she could always buy it herself. So she offered me $3 for that paper flower I'd made for her in preschool. Mum seemed pretty eager to have the thing, and I could tell it was worth more than $3 to her. So I told Mum it was all hers for 10. I guessed I pushed my luck though, because she went back inside without buying anything. While I waited for some customers to show up, I started getting a little nervous. I realised that all my stuff was just lying out in the open, and I had no way to stop people from stealing it. So I called my best friend, Rolly Jefferson, and asked him to come down to be my theft prevention officer. But Rolly said he was supposed to do something with his dad this afternoon, but he couldn't help me with his yard sale. I told him I'd promote him to theft prevention manager, and he'd get to even wear a badge. Luckily, that did the trick. As soon as Rolly got back to my house, he started asking about that badge. All I could find was some of my old firefighter costume that seemed to make him feel important. Rolly asked what he was supposed to do as theft prevention manager, and I said he mostly needed to walk around and crack his knuckles to make sure no one got any funny ideas. But Rolly wasn't paying any attention to my instructions because he was distracted by a table that had a bunch of birthday gifts he'd got me over the years. I'm pretty sure Rolly's mum picked out the presents, since they're always things that help you learn. And they're all still in mint condition because I haven't actually opened any of them. I don't know what made Rolly madder, the fact that I was selling his stuff or the sign I'd put in the table. Gifts for nerds. Rolly said I couldn't sell those things because they were gifts. I told him they were mine, so I could do whatever I wanted with them. And then we got into a big tug of war over the magnet fun set. That's when our first customers started to arrive. I told Rolly we could argue about this later, but for now we needed to act like professionals. At first just a few people showed up, but after a while a whole lot more came. And when they started checking out my stuff, I went into sales mode. The craftsmanship on this porcupine is remarkable on the quality arts and crafts table. One lady seemed interested in a collector's coin I got from my uncle, but she complained that it was dented. So I thought fast and told her the reason it was dented because it had stopped a bullet in the Second World War. She didn't seem to believe me though, probably because the coin was dated last year. I spent a lot of time trying to close that deal, and I started worrying that people were stealing behind my back. Unfortunately, my theft prevention manager was totally useless because he was busy playing with the magnet set. I told Rolly he better start doing his job or he was going to get fired, but Rolly said it wasn't a real job anyway because he wasn't getting paid. I explained that I hadn't sold anything yet and I didn't have any money to pay him with. So when he said he was leaving, I told him that he could pick out one item from any table that could be his payment. Rolly seemed pretty excited about that idea, and I thought for sure he'd choose the magnet set, but he headed straight for the rare items table instead. I explained that those things were for paying customers only, and that maybe he'd be interested in some of the fun toys table, but Rolly wouldn't budge. Eventually he settles on the vampire bat shield, and I was okay with that, because it was really just a broken umbrella. But now Rolly was so worried about bats that he couldn't concentrate on his job. While Rolly was fooling around with his stupid umbrella, I thought I saw some guy take an action figure from the collectibles table and stuff it in his pocket, so I ran over to deal with him. But the only things in the guy's pockets were some old tissues and car keys. I was glad I was staying alert though, because I headed over to a major disaster. A pickup truck pulled up on the curb and some guy from Worley Street started piling my stuff into the back. And that is page 0 to 25. We hope you liked this video. If you did, smash that like button and we'll see you all next time. Goodbye!